Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Big episode coming your way because the world has changed again. Canada hit with a 35% tariff. It's wild. I don't think that's going to last, by the way. I think that this is just completely ridiculous, and I think people are getting worked up over nothing, and I'll explain what I mean by that coming up in just a sec. Before I do, this is a listener DMs episode, so first, let's bring in the great Anna Almeida.
Hey, I'm excited for the listener DMs, but I'm also excited to hear your take on these tariffs because I'm one of those people. I'm very worried.
Are you worried or are you angry?
I'm angry.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm angry.
I get the vibe that people are not worried because we've lived with tariffs for a while now, and it feels like it didn't really affect us that much. I have no doubt that there's some industries feeling it, but I don't think the mass public is feeling it yet, and we haven't seen skyrocketing prices like they said we would because of tariffs. So I think people are angry for a number of different reasons. There's some people that are very angry that Donald Trump would do this. There's other people that are very angry that we didn't do our part and didn't get a deal done. And I'm going to give you some audio in just a few minutes so you can hear exactly what I mean by that. There's two schools of thought. It's probably based on your political ideology, how you feel about this situation. But generally speaking, I think most people are a little angry that we have ended up at the point we're at. So before we get to the DMs, let me play a little bit of audio for you and take you through the day yesterday. I'm going to start off with the press secretary for President Trump. Her name is Carolyn Levitt, and she was asked a question yesterday about Canada and tariffs. Listen to this.
On the second question about a Palestinian state, the president expressed his displeasure and his disagreement with the leaders of France, the United Kingdom, and Canada. He feels as though that's rewarding Hamas at a time where Hamas is the true impediment to a ceasefire and to the release of all of the hostages. So to your first question, the president wants to see all of the hostages released. He cares deeply about this. He has met with many of the former hostages, many of the families of those who have loved ones who are still being held hostage in Gaza. I have met with them too. It is absolutely devastating what these poor people have been through, and the president is always thinking about them, and that's why he's designated his special envoy Steve Witkoff, who's doing a tremendous job to release the hostages and to end this conflict. But the president has always said the last remaining hostages, now there are 20 living hostages in Gaza, will always be the hardest because Hamas is unfortunately using these innocent people as bargaining chips. But nevertheless, we are committed to seeing this come to an end.
Okay, not exactly the clip I was going to play, but that one works too. That is the press secretary making it very well known that the three countries who have said they're going to commit to recognizing Palestinian statehood are France, the UK, and Canada. We knew that that was going to be a trade irritant for the Americans, and that's why I suggested yesterday that, right or wrong, Mark Carney didn't need to make the announcement about Palestinian statehood when he did. I feel like the only reason he did it when he did it was to poke the bear when it comes to trade negotiations with the Americans. But again, don't just take my word for it. Let's hear the audio. Yesterday, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, this is the person who negotiates tariffs on behalf of Donald Trump. He said the exact same thing. This is him on Fox News.
But Canada, I take it, not so much or not so good.
Well, imagine like the president truthed out that the Canadians put out, oh, we're going to recognize the Palestinian state. I mean, come on, don't be so tone deaf, right? The president is totally into trying to get peace in Gaza, and you're throwing your hat in the ring from Canada? Come on. You know, they still haven't solved dairy. They still have two countries on the whole world retaliated against the United States of America tariffs. China, which we all know, and Canada. So, you know what? I just don't see the president stepping off the gas. Now, Mark Carney came down, had a really nice lunch with the president when he first got elected. You know, if he makes that call and if he starts turning on the charm and if he takes off his retaliation, and stops the silliness, maybe the president will let it down a bit. But right now, 35%, that letter he sent, is surely in the cards.
Well, I mean, there's Howard Lutnick right there saying it. The Palestinian issue is an issue. And again, Carney did not need to announce that when he did. Dairy is an issue. So clearly, Carney is not so far willing to compromise on supply management. Weird that he did compromise on the digital services tax. That appears to not have had any impact because we don't have a deal. It seems like we were close to a deal, but there was just a few things in there that we couldn't get done. But Anna, here's why I'm not that worried about this. 35% tariff based on fentanyl going over the border. That's just Trump playing a game. He still wants a deal. You can tell he wants a deal. Nobody's paying 35% tariffs. Nobody that's on the same level as Canada. However, that's where we're at, which makes me think Trump put it at 35%, knowing that he can lower it to probably 15% when we get a deal. But it's going to stay at 35 and force the Canadians, us, to negotiate harder. We've got to give up something in a negotiation. They've got to give up something in a negotiation. I want to know where we're at. How close were we? What did we compromise on? And what were we not willing to compromise on? I think those are important questions, and I would really, really like to hear an answer from our negotiating team. Isn't that fair? Don't you think we should have a right to know that?
We should have a right to know. I think we've been in the dark since he took office in Ottawa, to be honest, Mark Carney. And the thing is this him now trying to prove that I'm not going to be intimidated by Donald Trump, but in return, we are then paying the price?
It seems like it.
Right?
You know, I mean, these guys were supposed to do the job. Doug Ford came to us in the spring and said, give me your vote because I'll protect you against Donald Trump. Mark Carney came to us a month later and said, give me your vote and I will fix this. They're both failures. Either get a deal done or step down, both of you. Yeah. Let me play a little bit of Premier Doug Ford yesterday speaking. Go ahead, just stoking the flames.
Folks, we all know this is a serious time for our province and our country. With President Trump taking direct aim at our economy, his goal is to take every single business out of our country, out of our province, and bring it down to the U.S. But I'll tell you, I will fight like I've never fought before, and we're going to continue fighting against President Trump and his radical views. I better stop there because I'll get on a rant. And I'll just tell you, our government is doing everything in its power to cut red tape and make Ontario and Canada the strongest economy in the G7. Our government has a plan to protect Ontario. And I always say our job is not only protect Ontario, but protect communities, protect families, protect jobs and businesses. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And I will not spare a penny to make sure we do it.
I'd like to know. Hold on. Well, you know, one of the things that I'm getting real sick and tired of is all the bluster. And you know, Doug Ford is out there ranting and raving about how much he hates Donald Trump. And you know what? He reminds me of like my dad. You know, like, shut up. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah. You know, you've been slapped down. You have nothing to fight back with. What are you going to do except sit there and piss and moan? Mm-hmm. You know, like, I am tired of old white men just coming completely unhinged every time Donald Trump comes up. Doug Ford, serious question. What specifically are Donald Trump's radical views? Please tell us that, Doug Ford. What radical views does Donald Trump have? Articulate that for us since you made the accusation. Tell us that. And also, what the hell are you doing? Protect Ontario. Give me your vote. I'll protect you. How? 35% tariffs. It's worse than it was. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that when Carney got elected, it changed the game a little bit. Doug came off the negotiating team formally, and Carney went in with his team. Well, that didn't work either. The thing here is these politicians, they don't have any incentive to finalize a deal with Donald Trump. And let me tell you why. Because, and I'm going to say it, please don't be offended yet. Let me get through this. Canada's got a lot of problems. Donald Trump did not create our immigration problem. Donald Trump did not create our housing crisis. Donald Trump did not create the disaster that is unfolding in our healthcare system. Donald Trump did not make the streets of Canada lawless. Donald Trump is not the reason that our economy is tanking. Donald Trump is not the reason. All of us should be demanding that Doug Ford and Mark Carney solve the damn problem. There's no incentive for them to do it because they're off the hook. We left them off the hook. There was a lot of things that Doug Ford probably should be accountable for. He's not going to do that because he somehow, during the election campaign, convinced everyone, gets so angry at Donald Trump that we forget about all the other issues that had nothing to do with Donald Trump. When is the last time we had a serious conversation about the state of our healthcare system? Nobody's talking about it, so there's obviously no incentive to fix the problem because everyone is so fixated on Donald Trump. Same with Mark Carney. The same issues that I just mentioned, half of them are his issues. He doesn't need to deal with it because he's got the whole country so pissed off at Donald Trump that we're not caring about what's going on here in our own backyard. Donald Trump, as scummy as this has all gone down, and as much as I dislike the man for a variety of reasons, he didn't do this to Canada. We did this to Canada. The people we elected did this to Canada, and we're completely letting them off the hook by continuously talking about Donald Trump. Doug, I don't want to hear any more about Donald Trump out of your mouth. If you're not on the negotiating team, stay out of it. Because all you're doing is pissing and moaning, making silly jokes and dumb comments. Donald Trump and his radical views. Which radical views, Doug? What specifically do you think is radical about Donald Trump? What are you doing to protect Ontario? When is the plan coming? Where are these nation building projects? Nobody seems to want to do anything because they've convinced the Canadian people be so angry at Donald Trump that you totally forget you were pissed off at Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau, now Mark Carney, long before Donald Trump. Before Trump got elected, we were on our way to a conservative majority government. The Liberals were down to what, less than 30% popularity. They won the election because Donald Trump became the focus of it. He's a distraction for Carney and Ford and several other premiers. They're not all using Trump as a distraction. Some of them are focused on doing their job. Not those guys. All they want to talk about is Donald Trump. Every time Doug Ford mentions Donald Trump, you should roll your eyes and close your ears. Because every time he talks about Donald Trump, he's not talking about healthcare or education or daycare or the state of our streets or any of that. And that's just a fact. I like Doug Ford. I've said it many times, but this is nonsense that he is continuing to do this. And also, given that he told us he's the guy, he's the one who's going to protect Ontario. Well, now what? No deal. No deal. And that's not completely within Doug's control. That has a lot to do with the federal government. But I mean, Doug's cheering Carney on, telling everybody Carney's doing a great job. He's doing the best he can. I don't see any evidence of that because it seems like everything Carney has done has tried to sabotage getting a deal done. And again, why would they sabotage it? Because they don't want to be unpopular at home. Carney doesn't want to be the guy who pisses off everyone in Quebec over supply management. It's much easier to just make everybody hate the big orange man and forget about all our issues here at home. We got to stop letting these politicians off the hook. They still have a job to do, and the vast majority of it is here at home, not dealing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't the reason for all our problems. He's certainly an irritant. He wants a better deal for his country. I don't blame him. I want a better deal for our country, and it doesn't seem like we're interested in making a deal. If the two scenarios were make a deal or get stuck with tariffs, then I want a deal. And, they'll keep saying, oh, we're not going to take a deal that's not a good deal for Canadians. You negotiate to get the best that you possibly can. And when you're satisfied that you can't get any more, we have a deal. That's it. That's all there is to it. They're going to have to compromise. We're going to have to compromise. And it doesn't seem like we're willing to compromise. It's just the way it is. So now the reality is 35% tariffs. Even that, though, I don't think it's going to last. There's going to be a time in the next couple of weeks, maybe even sooner, when Mark Carney's going to come down like Moses from the mountain with the tablets in hand saying, here, here, I've got a deal. And people are going to praise the hell out of him. I don't know why. It seems like this whole thing has been bungled from the start. It's completely bananas, Anna. Sorry, I did it again.
No, I got to say, I agree with everything you said and how you delivered that and broke it all down. I agree, because I even had this discussion with my father just yesterday because we were talking about tariffs and he was complaining about Donald Trump. And I said, Dad, that yes, we haven't reached a deal, but it's everything else in accumulation. This is why we're struggling. Everybody's struggling here. And it has nothing to do with the guy that we hate. It's just like our politicians are not stepping up in the way that we need them to step up, like they promised that they would step up. And also, is Doug Ford now a liberal? Do you know what I mean? Because the amount of support he has lent Prime Minister Carney, it's quite... It stands out to me for somebody who's just really getting into politics. That is something that I'm really starting to notice.
Yeah, it's becoming very obvious. I don't know that he's a liberal per se, but Doug Ford is certainly the choice of liberals for the conservatives. They would really like a Doug Ford leading the Canadian Conservative Party. They do. They don't like Pierre Poilievre because Poilievre scares them. Poilievre calls them out. Poilievre gets people's attention. Poilievre drives thousands of people to rallies. I don't know that Doug's going to be able to do that, to be perfectly honest with you. He's going to run. Doug is absolutely running for prime minister. He's waiting for that leadership review, and he's going to throw his name in the hat. I'm telling you guys, you're going to see Premier Stephen Lecce running Ontario probably before Christmas. Wow. Doug is going to step down and announce that he is going to appoint an interim leader for the Ontario PCs. The Ontario PCs will hold a leadership convention and elect somebody who will eventually become premier. But I have every reason to believe it'll probably be Stephen Lecce that gets made premier while Doug is running against Pierre. And Doug is just waiting for a lane. As soon as it opens up, he's going to challenge Pierre. So's Tim Houston in Nova Scotia. You
Tim.
watch.
Oh, I know Tim well, too, having lived in Nova Scotia, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how people in Nova Scotia feel about him, but I'm pretty sure I know how conservatives in the rest of the country feel about him.
My laugh should tell you a lot.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, Anna, that's just one scenario that could happen. There's several that I see happening, but Doug wants to be prime minister. You can tell it's in all of his language. Everything that's been going for the last year, calling that early election, screwing over Pierre during the campaign.
Yes.
Doug is running for prime minister. And if he wants to, by all means, this is a democracy. Anybody who wants to step up should step up and let the public decide. But it's all very underhanded what's happening. Listen, this is a listener DM episode. I'm going to get to the DMs, but let me leave it at this. People have been messaging me like crazy for the last number of days. Donald Trump creating all kinds of distractions so that we don't think about the Epstein files. He's throwing out this and throwing out that to distract us from the Epstein files because he's in them. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree at all. But let me give you an alternate theory. Here in Canada, we're doing the exact same thing. Every minute that Mark Carney and Doug Ford are talking about Donald Trump, we're not talking about immigration. We're not talking about healthcare. We're not talking about the state of crime in our streets. We're not talking about any of the actual issues that are affecting people. We're not talking about inflation. We're not talking about the housing crisis. All of these things have nothing to do with Donald Trump. You know what? People our age, I really hope that I don't want to see anybody fight with their family or anything, but I'm hoping that we can all sit down and try and talk some reason into the older folks, because all the polls show it's the older folks that are real elbows up and want to take on Donald Trump. Doug Ford, we're going to be the biggest economy in the G7. That from the lockdown king. He's the guy who shut down all the businesses during COVID. Longest lockdowns in the world. Crazy. So listen, I don't really think that I'm going to step out on the limb here and say that Doug is the guy who's ready to support business, because he certainly didn't during COVID. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Carney, it seems like he doesn't want a deal. Even if they were close, let's say dairy was the only outstanding issue. Why'd he throw in that Palestinian statehood thing right before the deadline? Probably to sabotage the deal. Because if he has a deal and everything's hunky-dory, then we go back to focusing on domestic issues. And the two guys who are running the show right now don't have a very good record with the domestic issues right now. Donald Trump is a distraction, and people need to understand that. Sure, Trump is an issue. It's a real issue. These tariffs are bad. But it's a good distraction for the prime minister and the premier. They're talking about Trump to get you angry at Trump so you forget about all the other stuff. And sure, by all means, be angry at Trump. We have every right to be. But don't forget about the other issues that Donald Trump didn't cause. And we need to focus on those, because this country it's really scaring me what's going on here. Mm-hmm. We're in a real bad way here, and we need leadership. And Mark Carney might even be the right guy for the job. Maybe Doug Ford is the right guy for the job. But they got to step up and show some leadership. I don't want to hear Donald Trump's name come out of Doug Ford's mouth again. Doug, you worry about the provincial issues. If you want to get involved in federal, step down and say you're running. But until then, knock it off, because there's other issues to focus on. Want to talk about issues? Let's talk about health care. Why are people waiting 12 hours in an ER? Mm-hmm. Why does this housing crisis still exist? Why are colleges going bankrupt?
Yep.
These are all serious issues that deserve attention. Don't let these guys off the hook by continuously hanging all of our problems out on Donald Trump. Make sense?
I loved everything. I support all of that. I support you for Prime Minister.
Thank you. Yeah. You know what, though? The irony is the leaders control who the candidates could be. I could step up right now and say, I'd like to run. Doug's not going to let me in as a candidate because he knows I'm critical of him at times.
Oh, yeah. He's
Carney's not going to let me run for the Liberals because he knows I'm critical of him. You have to suck the right to get in. And I'm just not willing to do it. I'm not going to capitulate. I'm right. And I don't say that very often as confidently as I am. But these guys are using Trump as a distraction to distract all of us from the actual issues that affect us and that we care about.
Well, if you open any media today, that's all you see is the picture of Trump and then the tariff, it's a distraction. It is a good distraction in the way that they're marketing it. I mean, they're doing its job, but it's terrible because we need help and they're not giving it to us.
I'm seeing it all over social media.
Yep.
The same folks during the election that we've got to be united, elbows up. We've got to be Canada strong. A lot of people are not feeling that way. People are angry today. Mm-hmm. And we're angry because we were misled. And I don't want to say lied to, but this is not what we thought we were voting for in either election.
Nope.
Okay, let's get to some listener DMs.
Okay, so we're going to start off anonymous. They write, "Hey, Scott, my wife is an avid listener, and we both tune in with my ears wide open when we are listening together. Love hearing you and what you have to say as our thoughts and beliefs align with many of yours."
Oh, nice.
So there's that one. I thought that would be a nice one to kick things off.
Oh, is it just a comment?
Yeah, just a nice comment, especially because of everything you had just said. It's nice to know that people really listen to what you have to say and they are in agreement. So,
by the way, I should clarify something. I said if I wanted to run for the Liberals. I'm not a liberal. I'm just a middle class guy. If there was a party for the middle class, I would absolutely run for that party because it seems like none of these jokers have any idea what regular folks are dealing with.
Can't we create something?
Yeah, somebody's got to organize it. I'll absolutely be in, but somebody's got to look after it.
Well, hey,
I don't have time. I got too many fish in the pan here.
Well, listen here. Somebody right now is like, "I got it, Scott." Don't be surprised if you get a DM from somebody after this.
I'll write your campaign platform and I'll do your comms for you. How about that?
There you go. All right, Lisa, just wondering if you could cover the recent bail release of the guy in Brantford who is being charged with attempted murder. He was already out on bail for another serious crime. Police have caught him in the process of beating a female with a pipe. We have to do something. I'm so done with this bullshit. And any suggestion on what the public can do? What are your thoughts from
vote.
Lisa?
You got to vote. You got to vote. You got to demand change. I see there's dozens of these stories literally every day.
Yeah, it's scary.
The amount of people that are just committing these violent crimes and getting back out on the street, it's insane. Like, Carney had a chance to deal with bail reform. Parliament was only sitting for a week back in June, but he could have rammed it through if he wanted to. He would have had support from the Conservatives and maybe even the Bloc. He wouldn't even have needed it. Liberals and Conservatives have got enough to pass it. And he didn't do it. He didn't even mention it. He said, we'll do it in the fall. Bail reform is not a priority. And until we have meaningful punishments for crimes, crime will continue. We had two choices during the last election. Everyone was so angry at Donald Trump that everybody forgot we got a major crime problem in this country. There was a plan on the table to deal with violent repeat offenders, and Canada said, nope, let it keep going. Vote red.
Oh, man.
And that's where we are. And that's reality. It's reality. I mean, I'm not trying to take a partisan shot there, but that's the way it happened. There was a comprehensive plan from Pierre Poilievre to deal with crime. We rejected it for more of the same. And when we vote for more of the same, we can't be surprised that we've got more of the same.
All right. Well, we have another one here. Heard the podcast today. Nothing feels different for my wife, my 1.5-year-old, and I since Carney took office. I voted Conservative and was utterly disappointed in the outcome, but had a smidge of hope left and accepted the loss. I agree with you on Carney being more open than his predecessor. But if you beep out the PM's name every time you spoke, I'd assume you're talking about Trudeau still. I still have hope for my daughter's sake, but my wife and I have begun to accept fates that we never thought we would. Our over 6-figure household income with no child care expense, gratefully, yet still feel broke. So they still feel broke, and as if we can't buy a little extra when we go grocery shopping. So you can't do that anymore. What do we have to look forward to now? We don't even know what Carney's plan is for all the Canadians.
If we could have Mark Carney, but not all the crew behind him, I wouldn't be unhappy with that. I think Carney has done an okay job. He's not prioritizing the right things. Not at all. he, I think, sabotaged getting a deal done with the Americans for now. And I can't quite figure him out. You know, I didn't want to like him, but I did for a while there. But the more that time that goes on, Anna, the more I think about the could have dealt with bail reform. Nope, push it off to the fall. Could have released a budget or at least a fiscal update. Nope, push it back to the fall. Could have had Parliament sitting during the summer. Nope, push it back to the fall. I can't quite figure out where he's coming from. But despite that, I'm still not that upset with his personal performance. But again, we voted for the same and we got the same. He's one guy in a party of however many, and the rest of them are all Trudeau's people. No wonder it feels like Trudeau's Canada, because it's all the same people behind Carney. I said it yesterday, and I might even be onto something here. I'm not 100% sure that Carney agrees with granting Palestinian statehood. I think he got bullied into it by Macron and Starmer. It's the way I see it. I don't think, based on what I've seen so far, that this is something that would be top of mind or a priority for him. I just don't see it that way. So I'm really kind of wondering what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm wondering if Carney's really calling the shots or if his cabinet is ganging up on him. Because I know the people in his cabinet, they're extremists. Some of them are. And they're the ones who wanted this Palestinian statehood thing. I don't know. I still think Carney is... We can give him a little bit of runway. He is new. He's refreshing compared to Justin Trudeau. If it's going to be a Liberal government, so far I'm okay with Carney as the leader. Way better than Trudeau. But the rest of these people, it's insanity. Like, they're just letting the country fall apart. We got to get rid of them. We just have to.
It's smart. I appreciate you saying that, because I think when we think Canada, it's just Carney, but there's multiple people in the background doing their jobs and, pushing their narrative. To
be a fly on the wall during his cabinet meetings, I think they're telling him what they're going to do. Yeah. Like, I don't know that he has control over his caucus, to be honest with you. It doesn't seem like it. But again, I admit it, going into this, I didn't want to like Carney, but he hasn't really personally done a lot that I dislike. He's done a lot of things that I do like, though, because he's very different from Trudeau in his communication style and his directness. He's obviously a smart individual, but I'm not sure that he's really in charge here.
Okay, well, this is talking about tariffs and getting your take from Rob, with August 1st being, tariffs. We'll most likely get hammered by them. Can't believe after 10 years we still have a government that blatantly chooses others over Canadians. This moron going on about Palestinians living on the streets, Palestinians living on the street and starving. Somebody shake him and wake the hell up and say that to him. Canadians have been living like that for a very long time now, and we are tired of watching our tax money going elsewhere. When are other countries going to start sending money to us to help our poor, homeless, and jobless? That's from Rob.
You know, I don't think we can draw a fair comparison between the plight of Canadians and the plight of Palestinians right now. It's an actual war over there. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think it's apples to apples. But I certainly understand the sentiment. Poverty in this country is running rampant. We've got people that cannot afford to eat. Record lineups at food banks still. Like, these are all Trudeau problems that are still problems today that Carney hasn't fixed. We have a lot of problems here, too. And I know that I'm speaking for probably a majority of Canadians that want to be compassionate about situations happening around the world, but we got to look at home first. There's a reason when you get on an airplane, they tell you that in the event of a water landing, you secure your own life vest before you secure the one for your kids or whoever. And the reason for that is if you're not stable, you can't help others. It's the exact same thing with a nation. Until we get our own situation under control, we don't have the money or the platform to be able to be intervening in other places in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely do. You're very true. David, I'm just so disappointed in Doug Ford. I have to disagree with you. He doesn't sound like he's trying for PM. It sounds like he wants to be the next Justin Trudeau. Nothing but scandals, empty promises, fighting for the people, and wasting of money on overpriced jobs. I voted for him and I'm very disappointed. The Ontario Conservatives need a new leader. I get why he's friends with the federal Liberal Party now. He's become one with all the scandals and controversies he's done.
See, I see it a slightly different way. I know there's people who are very critical of Doug Ford because he's hanging out with Dominic LeBlanc and Chrystia Freeland's coming over to his house for coffee and all that sort of stuff. And he's very complimentary of Carney. I don't know exactly what Doug's strategy is, but I do believe you are going to get a new leader of the Ontario PC Party within the next year, 100%. Book it. Remember where you heard it first. Doug Ford will not be the premier this time next year. I'm telling you, he won't. But I like that Doug builds bridges. I think we should. You know what I would like to know is happening right now? It's not. I'd like to hear that Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney are sitting in Ottawa having a coffee, talking about Canada's strategy. I like it when we work across party lines for a common good. You know, they say this is an emergency. It's all hands on deck. Canada strong. Then why aren't we involving the guy who half the country voted for? Pierre's got good ideas about how we can deal with Trump. We never even gave him a shot. Given that Carney has failed until this point, maybe Pierre should be there. I'd like to know that opposing politicians can work together. But it doesn't seem like they want to work together. It also doesn't seem like they want a solution, though. I'm not going to fault Doug for hanging out with some prominent liberals. I think that's good. Also mention Olivia Chow. There's someone who's very far on the left. Doug seems to have a great relationship with her, and I don't think there's any problem with that. I don't fault him for that in any way. I do fault him for constantly blaming Donald Trump for our problems. And why isn't the damn American alcohol back in the LCBO? Enough's enough. Get it back in there. That's another thing that pisses the Americans off.
Yeah, I want that California red, man.
Me too. It's not just that. I want Canadian adults to have choice. And
Yes.
we live here. That's our liquor store. I don't understand how one guy can determine what we can and can't drink. It's absurd.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on to a different one. Hey, Scott, listening to your rant on Friday's pod about the refugee claimants.
Claimants?
Thank you. Claimants getting work permits. These claimants are all on Ontario's works. So they are still getting government money. If they find work, they're no longer eligible for it. But Canadians can't find work, so neither are good options. While they wait for their ref claim to be heard, they get free health care benefits through Ontario Works. And yes, many of them were put up in hotels, which are also provided, and 2 free meals a day. And then the approval rate for these ref claims is a lot higher than you think. I wonder if the government publishes stats on that.
I don't know if they do or don't. I'll leave that to the journalists who do the research. I'll tell you, though, that, every Canadian can see, it's as plain as day, that this is madness. These people come here. They have a completely bogus refugee claim, and despite that, we still let some of them in. Some of them, actually anybody who comes as an asylum claimant, we have to let in. That's part of our obligation to the world. So if they come here and they claim asylum, we put them up in hotels. We give them meals. They get money from the government. They get all of these things, including free health care. I think it's time to say enough's enough. Just adjudicate these people right away. If they show up at Pearson and they say, I'm declaring asylum, why are they still here 2 years later? You in 2 years, you couldn't have heard their claim and said, that's bogus, get out? We need to be very, very, very strict about who we let in here. And if we're letting someone in on an asylum claim, that better damn well be legit. There's a lot of people that would love to immigrate to this country, and we want them. These are skilled people. These are tradespeople. These are all kinds of individuals that we need in this country. Let them in if they're willing to come in the right way. But this just let anybody fly here, say the word asylum, and we put them up for 2 years. It's completely bananas. And by the way, we need to be much more fiercely protective of our healthcare system. It is being held together on toothpicks and elastics right now. Letting everybody who says the word asylum at Pearson have access to that supposed world-class healthcare system is crazy. No, if you're here and you're not a legitimate asylum claimant that might actually get approved for an asylum claim, you don't get healthcare. Not everybody gets it. It's for Canadian citizens. That's it. Full stop. If you don't pay taxes here, if you haven't paid taxes here, you don't get to use the healthcare system. Put a debit machine in every hospital and start charging people. Word's getting out. You can just come to Canada, say the word asylum, and bam, get your hip replaced or your knee replaced. It's bullshit. It's BS. Stop that. Protect our healthcare system, what's left of it, because it was made for Canadians, it's paid for by Canadians, and it should only be available to Canadians. Full stop. I don't want to deny anybody healthcare if they're sick, but people should know, if you're coming to Canada and you're not a Canadian citizen or a lawful permanent resident, you better damn well buy health insurance because you're not getting it for free. Full stop.
And I can say to that, moving to Canada from Portugal, I mean, we couldn't move here unless we had jobs already in the works, where we were going to live. We didn't get the help that many are getting these days, honestly.
We just let these people come here and just open up the doors. Like, hey, you get all the great perks of Canada and you don't even have to pay for it. It's nonsense.
Oh, just a crazy time. All right, Jason. Hey, Scott. Bike lane convo. I sent a message on the radio about bike lanes. I was the one who said I saw 5 cyclists on Fisher Hallman on the road instead of the massive brand new bike lanes that they had built. I also forgot to mention that I hate when cyclists are arrogant and I drive on the back roads and they have big bike lanes where you can fit 2 to 3 cyclists beside each other. And I still see one cyclist by themselves cycling on the white line, not even in the bike lane. Just ridiculous. And if you don't move over, they give you the finger like you did something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I'm not going to relitigate the bike lane argument, but we did have a great discussion about it on Wednesday's pod, I believe, or maybe Tuesday. You can go back and listen. When it comes to bike lanes, this is the simple fact. If you're not paying for the roads, you have no right to use the roads. And I'm talking to cyclists. If we give you a bike lane, you better stay in your damn bike lane and use it. If you're not paying for the roads, though, i.e. through paying for gas and the tax, then I don't know why you think you have a right to use the road. I don't want to see a whole bunch of bikes on the sidewalk, but at the end of the day, the roads were built for cars. We've all got to respect each other. We've all got to fit on the road at the same time. We got to make it work, and we got to make sure everybody is safe. Flipping each other off because you don't like what that person did or that person doesn't like what you did, stop it. Make it work. And the cyclists, you're not paying for this. You're not paying a penny for it. You certainly can enjoy the roads and have a great time. Good for you for getting some fresh air and exercise. But at the end of the day, the cars have got to be prioritized because they're the ones who paid to build it and they're the ones who are paying to maintain them.
Hear, hear. There you go. I agree. Speaking of cars, here's a different take. Matt, so theory on the EV mandate, smart 15 cities. So with that being said, he writes, liberals want everything you need in life, including work, to be within 15-minute walking distance from your home. Doctors, groceries, barbers, etc., all within 15 minutes. When you have an electric vehicle, they'll be connected to a network, including chargers, so you'll have to pay carbon credits to drive your car outside of that 15-minute radius. EVs are way too expensive and not getting any cheaper, so cars will only be available to upper middle class to rich who can afford them and force everyone else walking or using transit. I think that by 2050 would be a better target for EV cause. There's still a range of anxiety and it takes a lot of hours to fully charge your car.
You know what? Just stop that one. He's talking about a WEF mandate or WEF, World Economic Forum agenda, to create 15-minute cities. Maybe you've heard about this. It was a conspiracy theory for a long time, but now I think a lot of people have realized it's not a conspiracy theory. That's actually what they're doing. It's happening slowly in front of our eyes, and not a lot of people have noticed it yet. The goal is they want to keep us all in certain areas. If I live in, and I do live in, Burlington, my 15-minute city would be Burlington. And within a 15-minute walk, I've got my IKEA, I've got my Costco, I've got my Walmart, I've got my Sport Chek, I've got my Winners, I've got all the different things I need. So there's no real need for me to leave my area. And the conspiracy theory part of this is that eventually they're going to lock us into our areas. You'll need permission to leave your area. In other words, they're going to try and create bubble societies. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it certainly seems like in certain cities, they are building a 15-minute city. Could we ever get to a point where you're locked there and can't leave? Maybe. I mean, if you have an EV, it can be controlled remotely. We know that. I don't know what the agenda is. I'm not going to dedicate a whole ton of time to that. I'm acknowledging that we did get that message, and sure, it got read. You heard it, but I don't know how much credibility it has, so I'm not going to do any more than that. But that is a prominent theory. A lot of people believe that that's what's going on. And if you look around at all the things they're building, it does kind of seem like they're setting up for that. But it's only happening in really left-leaning cities. It's the left-leaning cities. A lot of our municipal politicians are far left. Far left. That's part of the problem with our municipal system is they run as independents. They don't actually tell you what their political ideology is. In reality, all of them have one. They're all members of political parties. But you're not supposed to know that most of the mayors running these big cities in Canada are New Democrats. They're like far left. And they believe in this sort of stuff. They think EVs are the solution to the world's problems, and I don't see it that way. The next big thing is hydrogen. hydrogen is going to fuel the world in not too long from now. I think this electric vehicle thing with batteries, I don't think we're going to be talking about it in 2050. I think we're going to have hydrogen cars. And that's probably the best way to go. It's basically free to make it work. And we could be doing that. Hydrogen is coming. I don't think I'm going to bother wasting my money on a battery-powered vehicle when I know that hydrogen is the next big thing.
I have to agree with you. That's a good take. Okay, we're going to move on to American Eagle jeans and the controversy. So from Gazelle. So Sydney Sweeney and AE jeans. Listen to your pod today and the jean drama. Here's a point of view from a girl who is half white, half black. Works in HR, generally has very strong opinions. Have read, let me know what you think. My stand on the matter is I don't care. I don't wear American Eagle jeans, so meh. I also think it's been blown out of proportion as usual.
Great comment. Great comment. If it doesn't affect you, why do you care?
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Okay, so from Rhonda. So, hey, Scott, Anna summed up the Sydney Sweeney situation perfectly. People have been throwing around the words eugenics and ethnic cleansing. As for who is pushing the narrative online, it's the same people who celebrate when a CEO gets murdered. When I first saw the ad, I thought it was an update of the Brooke Shields Calvin Klein campaign. Apparently, I'm not woke enough to understand why I should be offended. These people should be in constant pain from the amount of stretching they have to do to reach these preposterous conclusions. Anyways, love the show. I agree with Anna, and you should run for office. You got my vote from Rhonda.
Unfortunately, there's no party that'll take me, but I certainly appreciate the sentiment. Thanks, Rhonda.
Okay, so Nikki, hey Scott, I've been a listener from the moment you started working in Waterloo region. I usually don't send DMs, but this time I had to. Just a little perspective on the Sydney Sweeney ad. I don't think it's necessarily racist, but here's another perspective. I'm a black woman in my late 40s, and all my life I've been reminded that I'm not the standard of beauty. What is beautiful is light skin, light eyes, light hair. Let's face it, we are in a mainly Caucasian community. Now the discourse is starting to change. We can recognize that beauty can look different and is in the eye of the beholder, but the old standards of beauty often creep back up. This ad for people might bring back what they've been trying to fight for against all their life. It might have been better to use a different looking good jeans in the ad. The picture is not the problem. The slogan within the picture can be. The slogan with the picture can be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's something that I'm going to acknowledge right now. I am not black, and I don't know what the lived experience of someone who is a black person in Canada. I don't know. I've never been open to that. I've never really gone down that road or been told what the standard for beauty is. All I know is what I find attractive, and I find Sydney Sweeney attractive. I find Beyonce attractive. And as far as I'm concerned, they're both doing ads for jeans, so I don't understand the controversy. But I do. Let me underscore this. I appreciate hearing that perspective from a black Canadian. So thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate it. I've been trying to understand who might be offended by this. If this goes back to old school values about what is and isn't beautiful, if this is bringing up old wounds, I guess I can understand that. Absolutely. But I really don't think that was the intention of the ad. I think it was meant to be clever and a good play on words, and I think it was. If that hurt you, I apologize on their behalf, because nobody should feel that way. I appreciate hearing a little perspective, thank you, on why that was perceived as racist from some people. Thank you. That's good.
All right, we're going to switch gears now. Steven, hey, Scott, can you...
By the way, it's amazing how many people that haven't seen me do think I'm black.
Really?
I get that all the time from people. I thought you were black. I don't know. Maybe I've got the tone to my voice or something like that. I'm not sure what it is, but people say that to me somewhat often.
It is fun when you do meet the person you've been listening to. You've built up an image. Well, Steven here, he says, hey, Scott, can you discuss when hand washing after using the bathroom became optional? I've noticed specifically at the gym, the odds of people washing their hands after is 50-50. And it's especially disgusting knowing I'm definitely going to be touching the same equipment as them.
Ugh.
I've not seen that. Ooh.
All right. I'll declare another bias. I'm a germaphobe. Anna, please tell everybody what I said to you this morning when I came into the studio.
Yeah, the sanitizer. You need to cut down on it because you use it way too much.
I do. I believe in clean. I believe in not spreading germs, and I use way too much hand sanitizer.
We have 2 sanitizers in our studio, plus Lysol and a roll of paper towel.
I'm germaphobe, clean freak, however you want to put it. I do not have any tolerance for spreading germs. And I can't believe that people would use the bathroom and not wash their hands. That just seems so foreign to me. So let me just put it out there. Wash your damn hands after you use the bathroom.
Yeah.
If you've touched your privates in any way, whether it's wiping or holding or whatever, rubbing for fun, wash your hands afterwards, please.
Yes, please.
From the files of stuff we shouldn't have to tell you in 2025, wash your hands after you use the damn bathroom, because there's people out there like me who are hypersensitive to where germs might be, and hearing stuff like that scares the heck out of me.
Oh, it's just, ugh. All right, Michael, he writes, Bom dia, Scott. Just wanted to say hello and that I'm listening to the pod from Portugal. I'm on a 3-week family vacation visiting Lisbon, Porto, and San Miguel. My parents are from the Azores, like someone else you know. I would have invited Anna to come with me, but my DM was left unread. I'm sorry, Michael. All good, though.
That's rude, Anna. Rude. I reply to everybody.
Damn. I'm going to remove those hand sanitizers in a minute. All right. Okay. But he writes, all good, though. She's still amazing and love hearing her perspective on the pod. Thanks, Michael. Okay. Keep up the great work. And I'm so happy for Silent Date Guy. Cheers.
It seems like there's a lot of people going to Portugal this year. I know a number of people, and I've seen a few more on Facebook, that are vacationing in Portugal. Did they have like a cheap flight sale or something? Why is Portugal the it spot this year? Every year it's different. Last year it was Italy. The year before it was Greece. Why Portugal this year?
It's getting more and more popular because it's compared to other places in Europe, it's very affordable. And you can get around. It's smaller. You can see a lot for your buck. Okay.
Okay.
And it still has that old school, feel that people are craving in a very modernized society here in Canada. So I think you get the best of both worlds. And it's compared to other places, it's a lot cheaper to visit.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good. Hey, wherever you're going, have a great time.
Yes. All right. So Christine here. Hey, Scott. First off, I'm so happy for Silent Date Guy, but also need more of Diana on the podcast. She's lovely.
Thank you.
Yes.
She's great.
I'd like to get your thoughts on interest rates. So my mortgage is up for renewal October 1st, and we've been locked in for 3 years now, trying to hold off as long as we can. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like rates will be coming down any further. Do you think there would be any benefit to renew at a higher rate, but for a shorter term, 1 to 2 years? My thought is that we'd get another chance to renew pretty soon, and maybe, just maybe, rates will drop significantly once we're in a recession, an official one. Everyone knows we're already in one.
Yeah.
Hope you have a great day. That's from Kristen,
I am not an expert by any means. Please do not accept this as financial advice, but here's the way I see this going. There will be a rate cut in September. There has to be. End of August or September, there's going to be a rate cut, probably a quarter or a half point, depending on whether or not we've declared whether or not we're in a recession. So rates, I believe, are going to come down at least one more time before your October 1st renewal. If you can hold off until that rate cut, do it, and you will save yourself a couple $100 a month in all likelihood.
Oh, that's nice.
I also, I'd probably be inclined to go with a variable rate. I know not everybody has that risk tolerance that I'm suggesting here, but I don't think that there's much reason to think rates are going up because I think our economy is about to get clobbered. So I think rates are probably going to go down to closer to pre-pandemic levels. That's the way I see this going. I don't think Tiff Macklem, that son of a bitch, is going to have an option for much longer. My advice is don't renew yet. Hold off for one more rate cut. Then lock in if you have to, but if you can, go variable.
Okay.
Actually, if you can go variable with the option to switch to fixed, that's your ideal. I'd give her.
That is a great idea.
And then keep an eye on the market.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to switch over to Silent Date Guy.
Great.
You got a lot here. Liz, first up. Hey, Scott, question for Friday. Did you take a hostess gift to Silent Date Girls Party? Just curious what's appropriate to give over, what's appropriate to be given to the over-the-top party.
Yeah, I didn't know how over the top it was going to be, so we gave wine. But I like specific wine, and I've got a good little stockpile of California wine because that's my favorite. So we brought a bottle of wine.
Oh, nice. Okay, Tanya, the way I clapped and screamed as I drove my son to ABA therapy today listening to the pod, you'd think it was my best friend who just made things official. So happy for Silent Date couple. Aww.
Me too. Hey, he's living his best life right now, and they are getting together this weekend. I did know that. So I hope they have a great time. I really hope this works out. And the amount of people that are just plain happy to hear a happy ending. And this isn't the ending. but it's the ending of that chapter, the dating chapter. Now they're in a relationship, quote unquote. Oh boy, it's weird to even say that.
Yeah.
But that chapter had a happy ending, and I'm happy for him. They seem happy. Listeners seem happy, and that just makes me happy.
Well, Andrea, just finished screaming in my car. So happy for
another
your
one.
friend. Woo, woo. And then Kesha, I hope they make a movie about this someday. Me too.
You know what? I'm starting to think I should write it as a screenplay before somebody else does.
Do it. This is yours. Well, theirs, but you know.
It's their story.
Ours now. All right, Brad, great job again on the Silent Date guy narration and the songs. Haha, this story is so captivating. All right, Jen, great episode today. Silent Date guy and Silent Date girl are official. Amazing. She proved us all doubters wrong. Can't wait for more updates. That pregnancy test had me saying, "Oh no."
Uh-oh.
All right. So, Olivia, have you and Silent Date guy thought of what if she ever found out that they are your top story on the pod and radio? And that they are famous? I haven't weighed in much on this. I think it's a big playa. I think she's a big playa and hope he doesn't get hurt. Love your pod. Keep her going.
Yeah, I don't want him to get hurt either. And, I don't want her to get hurt either. I don't think he would be the one to hurt her, but I think that they're a nice, compatible couple. As for me telling the story, some people have said, oh, what if she finds out? Oh, my God, she's going to hate your friend. She's going to hate you. I don't think so. There are some details that I hold back from you guys that are more personal, and I always hold back all of the identifying characters. So they are completely anonymous. People don't know who these people are. That's a bonus. Even if she found out about it, no one knows who she is, so that still gives her the anonymity and the plausible deniability. There's a few things that he's told me about her personality that indicate to me that if she ever did find out that I'm doing this story in the way that I'm doing it, and I do keep her anonymous, she would probably be okay with it. I haven't asked her, but when it comes up, I'll cross that bridge and I'll deal with it. And if she says, I don't like this story being out there, even though nobody knows it's me, maybe I'll go back and delete those episodes. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that, but I have a lot of reason to believe that she would be okay with it from certain fetishes that I've learned about. That's where I'm going to leave that.
Well, okay, that leads to this next one from Kim. So happy I was wrong. Not that they are official. Is he going to have the joy of telling her that they are famous on the radio?
At some point, he's going to tell her or she'll discover it. I've told him you should tell her before she finds out another way.
Yeah.
Because he knows that I tell the story. He listens to the pod and he's okay with it. He thinks that the way I'm portraying their story is very fair. A little graphic at times, but it's fair. He doesn't think she's going to have an issue with it, but he's got to stick handle that, not me.
Okay. Yeah. Too bad. All right, Jacqueline, I was wondering if you can share what Silent Date Girl does for a living. I don't need you to be specific, maybe more generic, like she's an entrepreneur, she's C-level, etc. I'm just curious how she has this much money. Also, since you met her in person, what do you think of her? Is she charming? Everything your friend made her out to be? I think that's it for now. Be happy for your friend. Keep the updates coming.
Okay. I've said a couple of times what she does, but people still ask, so let me remind everyone. I know that she works in finance, but I don't know exactly what she does. I don't know if she's a banker or if she's a broker or what. It's just something in finance. And I don't even know if Silent Date Guy even fully understands what she does, but it's in the financial realm. That's the way I understand it. What was the other question?
What is she like in person?
Yes.
What do you think of her?
So Diana and I talked a lot about this, and we both felt like she was a really nice woman. Charming. She's much more business than that. I didn't get a warm vibe, but I'm a stranger, right? And I went to her place at a party when we were drinking. I got the impression that she was very, very business, very professional, very matter of fact, kind of direct.
Oh.
Not the warm, charming other side that it could be. I hope I'm not articulating this right.
No, you're nailing it. Your friend is the more sensitive, charming, wholesome. And not that she's not wholesome, but she's more direct business. She's a boss.
Boss is a good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely.
All
absolutely.
Right. That's how I envisioned her now. Oh, okay. And what are they doing this weekend?
I assume they're going to her place. I don't know if she's going to his place. I mean, he has a place that she could go to. I'm not sure. I also don't know if she has her kid this weekend or what. So I get the details typically mid-weekend, and then on the Monday, I get the full debrief. It's usually just a text message on Saturday to say, hey, here's what we're doing this weekend. What are you doing?
Okay, well, if she lives in a house like the Casa Loma, I don't think she's going to your friend's house in Burlington. No offense.
You know what, though? Maybe that's a nice change. Let's go hang out in the burbs. Let's go shopping at Costco and do what the common folk do.
Yeah, bye, Flamborough. All right, Paula, this is the last one. We listened to the pod on Spotify. Absolutely fantastic. Do look forward to your podcasts otherwise too. And she's in reference to Silent Day Guy. Big fan.
Great, love it. Hey friends, I want to let you know that I'm taking next week off. I told you this summer there'd be a couple of weeks that there wouldn't be pods, and I'm at a place right now where I just need to take a break. And I hope you understand that. I know you like the content, and I thank you for that, but I got to take a week off. So next week, I'm going to be in Muskoka golfing, and which is weird because I usually don't go north of Highway 7. So like just generally as a rule, I feel like I should be going south, not north. But I'm going to cottage country this weekend, Anna. I'm going to play some golf. I'm going to relax by the lake and just try and clear my head. I hope that you guys have a fantastic week. Rest assured, a week from Holiday Monday, the pod will be back. However, if something earth-shattering, groundbreaking, epic happens, if Mark Carney and Donald Trump come out and say, secretly, we've been lovers for the last 3 months, something like that.
I mean,
I wouldn't not believe it.
Yeah.
Then I will in some way cover that, but I'm not planning to do any episodes next week unless it's just that big that I can't ignore it. How about that?
All right. And if you see the Beckhams or the Sidney Crawford and all them in Muskoka, tell them we say hi.
I absolutely will. Friends, all the best to you. I hope you have a great weekend. I will catch you right back here a week from Monday when Scott Fox After 9 returns. In the meantime, I'll leave you, as always, with Pat James and The Whole Truth. Hey now. Have a great week. Oh.